called him to and what God was wanting him to do, which was stay in the land of Canaan because someday his family would inherit that land. And by faith, he left his land of the Ur of the Chaldees, and he went and stayed in that land until he died. Then the blessings passed to his son Isaac. And now Isaac is in the land and stays there and does the work that God's called him to do, to be a man of faith, and God blesses him in his life. And now Isaac's about to die, and now the blessing is going to be passed to the third generation. Okay? So now we're picking up in the sons of Isaac, who are Esau and Jacob. So who would like to read in chapter 27, verses 1 through 4? All right. Elijah, could you go back in here and close that door going into the auditorium? I'm getting some noise here, and my ADHD thinking is trying to listen to two things. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's good. So, well, some people stay at that point, don't they? Have you ever met anyone that stays at that? They get kind of to a certain point, and you're always thinking, well, the day might be the day, and another 5 years go on. It's like, well, Grandma's still doing good. She's, and then they call in the family and say, well, today's going to be, and then another 10 years go on. It's like, well, she really must not have been that sick. I don't know. But so, yeah, whatever it was, he felt as though he was going to die, and it was time for him to pass on the blessing, pass on the inheritance, pass on the spiritual leadership of the household to the next generation. And in this Middle Eastern culture, they always do it over a meal. Meals are very important. And so he says, my son, go out. I need you to go catch some venison and make me a meal. And then this is I'm going to pass the blessing to you. And I don't know, how do you think that this went? We don't really see a whole lot here of the view of it, but do you think that it's just Isaac and his son? Do you think that their servants was also there? Maybe if he's older and sickly, that there's people taking care of him? Was there an audience? Was there more at the meal? It really don't say. But
well, when it says Rebecca was listening, it almost sounds like she's in another room.
Yes.
And he's sitting there getting ready to bless him. He's ignoring God's words that Jacob was going to be the one that was going to be the leader over his older brother.
Right. Yes. So that can sometimes be difficult. You see, the culture demanded that the firstborn was the one to get a double portion of the inheritance, and also the leader of the family. That was the system at the time, and it was the worldly system. It was the way that worked. So you see that it's so strong here that even though the Lord had told Rebekah, right, when the baby was in her womb, and I'm sure she passed that along to her husband, I would think, or maybe she wasn't allowed to. I don't know, but God told her that the older will serve the younger, which in that culture is taboo. I know a guy who his dad just died, and he's got younger siblings, and he's the guy. And he's not in a position to really take the house and do things with it like he should, but they're waiting on him, and they're not letting him. They're not selling it. They're not doing anything else. I mean, it's in there, ingrained in their thinking. This is the way that it goes. There is no other way. So this is what we're dealing with, and so even though they're both grieved at Esau's actions. That it said in the last chapter that he took 2 wives of the Hittite women, which were Canaanite women. And they weren't supposed to, because those people served false idols. And what is the commandment from God? Of course, that come in Exodus, but serve no other gods before me and don't bow down to idols. So it's a
And also sold his birthright.
right.
I mean, all those things in Facebook and things still been given the blessing.
Right. But God had other plans, or as we will soon see. So now Isaac, the picture here is Isaac's on his deathbed. He can't see. He's too old to see, so he's laying there. Maybe he's a bit sickly or something, but he's definitely really old. And he calls his son in and says, "It's time for me to pass everything down to you, son. Go out and catch that venison like I like and make me a nice meal. And after the meal's over, then I'm going to bless you and turn it over to you." And so now Esau gets his hunting equipment, and he runs out as quick as he can to go get some venison. And in the meantime, Mama intervenes. Mama got insight sometimes that other people don't. Do you mamas agree in that? Yeah. Treacherous that they're dealing this way? Yeah.
Yeah, and God could have put Jacob in that position without them being treacherous. If they hadn't gone through all this whole treacherous deal, God still would have worked out his plan.
Yeah.
You think it's treacherous? Or do you look at it a
Um,
little different?
Well, I do look at it a little different, because you have to realize in this culture the woman does not have any rights. So she's almost looked at as a piece of property. She don't have any say in the things of the home or the things of the family. That's all the man's dealing. It's not like in our society. So even if she had an opinion and she's like, well, she probably wouldn't say to Isaac, well, Esau's not fit to take over. Jacob, at least he's a home guy. He's not married to the Canaanite women that serve false gods and going that direction. But I don't know that she could really verbalize that. I don't really see in that culture that she could. Maybe this is the only way that she could get her point across. I don't know. I'm not saying it's right, but it's what happened is what happened, and the Lord allowed it. So, I mean, you're dealing with, we as people are sinful people. So, I mean, none of this group's perfect in any way, as the same as we are. We all have our faults and insecurities and sin and problems, and God still allows us to be used and chooses us to be used in spite of ourselves. But in this particular case, the whole idea here is God called Abraham to be separated from the world, separated from the false idol worship that was taking place in the world at that time. And already the main thing, Esau's going right back into the worldly idol worship system. Jacob has not yet. So in this case, the mom is saying, well, he doesn't care about his birthright, and he doesn't care about this blessing. He's going to blow this whole thing. So she, even though it's treacherous, she intervenes to make the family stay on track. You see, I'm not advocating for what she did, but you got wrong or wrong. Which one's more wrong? Well, yeah, and she's going to own up to it here in a minute. She's going to say, well, let's go ahead and read so we get there. Who would like to read 5 through 10?
And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I hear thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as you love it. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before the death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will kill me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring upon a curse upon me, and not a blessing.
So he's even questioning how this is all done, even though he tricked him out of that first blessing by saying, hey, sell me your birthright for this bowl of beans. And of course, he sells it. But it seems as Jacob, I don't know if he's questioning her doing it, because I'm sure he wants this, because he wanted it back then. He wanted the birthright back then. So he wants it now for sure, but he don't want to get in trouble or get caught doing it. And he's kind of like, well, Mom, you don't think Dad, I know he's blind, but he still can smell and he still can feel. And he said, I'm smooth. Esau's hair, he's got hair all over. And don't you think that Dad's going to find out? And then when this whole thing comes out, I'll be the one cursed because I've been deceiving, right? This is his concern, that, he could forfeit what inheritance he did have by trying to do this or mess this whole thing up. In verse number 13, this is what Mom says. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and fetch me them. This is too serious of a matter for this woman. She already knows that Esau had married into idol worship. And this position here, she can't allow her heritage of serving the true God to be marred. So she intervenes. Just do it. If there's anybody that gets in trouble for this, I'll take full responsibility. You just go do it. Yeah, that's the GV, Gentry version. So, and it's not accurate, by the way. It always is flawed, just to let you know that. So who would like to read verse number 14 through 27? I know it's a long one, but it's, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe his hearing wasn't the greatest. I don't know. Huh? Yeah, he was Esau was the guy, the firstborn gets the double portion of the inheritance and the leadership of the family. He becomes the patriarch, and he should be talking with the Lord. When Isaac dies, God will talk with the patriarch of the family about matters. But because Esau had no interest in spiritual matters. All through the Bible, we see in different parts, even the New Testament, it mentions Esau and Jacob, that he was like the worldly man, an unsaved man. He didn't care about spiritual things. And Jacob, on the other hand, although he was a little shisty, or a lot shisty, he still cared about this. And he still cared about spiritual things. The Lord just had to whip some of that bad stuff out of him for 20 years, which we're going to get there. But the Lord knows the beginning and the end. And I guess the Lord knew that Esau was never going to get it and never did care. Eventually, Jacob does get it, but when he gets older. So. Yeah. And she's going to make it happen, even if it has to be by deception. So she made it happen. Well, yeah,
Basically lied to him.
yeah,
And how's the Lord gonna bless him like that?
that's what
I'm missing something.
you only have two guys here. And it's basically the worst, the best of two evils, the lesser of two evils. You got a guy that will not and does not care about this birthright. He cares about being the leader and the double portion. Don't get me wrong. He wants all the stuff. But becoming the spiritual head of the household here, he don't care about that. If he did, he wouldn't have went out and married two Canaanite women. Because he knew his mom and dad was against it altogether. Don't go out and marry two or marry outside of believers. And he did. So Jacob has not married yet. So she's like, he's still waiting and still hoping. And she sees hope in Jacob.